Good morning, everyone. It's Jen here. I'm so excited that you are joining us or perhaps catching this on the replay. Please let me know how you are showing up with us today. Hopefully, we are both on Facebook and on LinkedIn, which is a first for me to be on LinkedIn. So happy to spend a few minutes with you talking a little bit about the next Evolve Retreat. So for those of you who were not part of the last event, this is my announcement and the details around our second Evolve Retreat. And so last year, right around this time, we launched for the very first time an event dedicated to the seasoned spouses in our military community and really dedicated to helping them with some challenges that we knew were there. We talked to them, we knew some of the things they were struggling with, and we really just wanted to find a way to support their personal development around both kind of transition and moving on from military life, and also just figuring out how do we thrive best at the end of military service. So last year's retreat was so much fun, and we had so many folks that were immediately asking, when can we do this again? And so here we are. It's a whole year later. A lot's changed. My office has changed. Our geography has changed. My address has changed. But one thing that's remained constant is my desire to use Pride and Grit as a platform to just really support the seasoned military spouses in our community. So let's get into the details and let's talk a little bit about what the next retreat's going to look like. So I have just a couple things. I promise I'm not like slide heavy, but I do want to make sure I don't miss anything because there's so many important details about the next event. So our next retreat is going to be obviously this year, and it is going to be in April. And we are actually going to kind of straddle April and May, and that's going to give us a chance to really celebrate the fact that May, as many of you know, is Military Spouse Appreciation Month. And so that'll be kind of fun for us. So there's really two parts of our event, just like last year. It is a 2-day event and it is over a weekend. This year, we're going to be hosting the Evolve Your Identity workshop, and that is going to be all day on Saturday, the 30th. So from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be spending time together, really looking at a deeper dive on identity. One of the things that came out in our survey results from the last event was the fact that folks really wanted to dig in more about kind of what does the next chapter look like for them. For some folks, if you've been in military life a long time, you may start to feel like you've kind of lost your identity a little bit. And so this is really a chance to focus on that topic, to focus on you, and to give you some time to really just kind of pour into yourself and do that among people who know what it's like to be in that particular season. So we'll do that on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we will spend some time again in a Clifton Strengths workshop. So we did that last year, a lot of fun. And if you've never been exposed to the Clifton Strengths tool, it is really a great feed for kind of figuring out who you are and kind of giving you some language for how you show up, both for yourself and for those around you. So those are the 2 days that you want to mark on your calendar. But let's talk a little bit about what we're going to do during those 2 days so you have a better feel for it. So the speakers that we have gathered for you all, I'm really, really excited about the different ways that they're going to just help address this topic. So identity is a really big topic, and there's a lot of different ways we could have approached it. So what we're going to start with is a conversation with one of my favorite people on the planet. If you were at the last Evolve Retreat, you probably have a soft spot for Dr. Patrice Carter. She kicked us off last year with a fantastic talk about the seasons of military life and really just owning the season that you're in and not having to apologize for what that looks like and really knowing how to identify that for yourself. What I've asked her to do this year is come back and talk to us a little bit about what I'm calling honest conversations. So we know that sometimes there can be kind of challenges in military life. Sometimes it's amazing and sometimes it can be hard. And so part of what Pride and Grit really tries to do is not shy away from the hard stuff. And so what I want her to do is talk to you guys a little bit about how do we have honest conversations about what we need, about what we want, about whether we're getting those things, and really not only for ourselves, like honest conversations with yourself about what you really want in life, but then also what does that look like when you're doing that with your partner, when you're doing that with your circle? So it's really just kind of leaning into how do we do that well? How do we do that with grace? And I know she's just gonna nail it for us. So I'm so excited for you, if you haven't met her, to get to spend some time with her. The second topic that we're going to cover on that Saturday is going to be burnout. So in our survey, this is both the 2019 survey that we did and the post-event survey last year, identified the fact that burnout is a thing for a lot of folks. And for a lot of folks, it gets in the way of really kind of stepping into your identity and feeling kind of comfortable in the life that you've built. And so what I've asked Jen Whitmer to do, who is a leadership coach, is she's going to come in and talk to us a little bit about kind of how burnout shows up. What does it look like? How do we identify it? How do we really kind of name it? How do we move through it? Because one of the things that I think is really important with burnout is really that it has a process, and that you have to move through it in order to really get to the other side of it. So she's going to talk to us a little bit about what that looks like. And Jen is just kind of this big personality, and just, she's a self-described joy bringer, and she so is. So I think you're going to really love spending time with her. If you were at the last event, you may recognize her as one of our coaches that we had last time. So that may be a familiar face for you. The other topic we're going to talk about is really just the whole identity bucket, right? As I said, identity is a big thing. So I've asked Tammy Meyer to come in and talk to you guys for a pretty good length of time. She has actually the biggest portion of the day. And it's really going to be more of that deep dive into identity. How do we lose it? How do we find it? What are the tools to really help you feel like you are owning who you are and you're honoring who you are in the choices that you make every day? So Tammy's going to come in and spend some time with us, and the whole day is really one giant workshop. So there is going to be opportunity for you to kind of reflect, to be able to capture what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and to be able to use that as you continue to grow. So that is Tammy's portion. And then we're going to wrap up the day with Leah Brown. So Leah is a Dare to Lead certified facilitator. So if you're familiar with Brene Brown's work, the Dare to Lead curriculum is really about helping us kind of be honest and not shy away from the hard things, and really kind of lean into those. And so when Leah and I talked about kind of what could we bring to this group, one of the things that came up is stories. And the fact that I was just having a conversation with my daughter this week about this, that, stories are really powerful. And the stories that we tell ourselves about what's going on in our lives, about the life that we're living, those stories have a lot of power. And so what Leah's going to talk to us about is, how do we make sure those stories that we're telling ourselves really serve us and really help propel us forward and help us have the best life that we can and really thrive. So I'm really excited to wrap us up and have Leah kind of send us off with some things to think about. So that's day one. And then day two is all about Clifton Strengths. As I mentioned, it's really about the tools that can help you kind of, I think for some people, if someone said, tell me who you are, if you're not, without saying you're a mother, without saying you're a military spouse, without saying you're a daughter or a sister, or even a friend, who are you kind of at your core? Clifton Strengths really gives you the language for that. I struggled with that. I struggled with being able to really articulate those things, but I don't anymore. And the reason I don't is because of the coaching and the work that I did around Clifton Strengths. So I actually love it so much. I got certified from Gallup as a Clifton Strengths coach. So I am going to be taking you through that content on Sunday. So those are the topics. Those are the speakers. Let me give you a little sense of the format. So if you were around last year, it'll have some similarities with a few, we can't do it exactly the same. We have to change a few things. So the way that the event will work is, what's really unique about it is that we really spend time talking to each other. Because sometimes I think the way, at least for me, the way I've learned best is by listening. How did other people kind of handle different situations in their life? How did other people grow? How did other people, invest in their personal development? And so there's a lot of time during the day for you all to connect with other spouses and to really learn and lean on each other. So the way the format is, though, is all of our speakers will be virtual through our virtual platform, which for those who were there last year know that's a really, really great platform and makes it really easy to have interaction and not kind of feel like you're just sitting through a Zoom. I promise the day will go fast. and it won't feel like that at all. So we will have our speakers, but then after our speakers finish with their content and kind of intermingled with it, there's going to be some opportunities for that individual reflection. There's also going to be opportunities for small group discussion. So you'll actually break into a group and be able to talk about the content in a guided way. So we'll give you some questions to ask and some things to think about and discuss that kind of in your little group. And then we'll come back together with the speaker and be able to really dialogue around, what did we hear? What did we think? What doesn't sit for us, or what is, life-changing for us? So we're going to have an opportunity to interact with the speakers, which is the part that I love about this, is that these are recorded sessions. You will have a chance to interact with the speaker, to ask them questions, to really take their content and try to figure out how it applies to you. So that's our format both for day one, and we'll follow a very similar format for the workshop on day two. So from a pricing standpoint, we're really similar to where we were last year. And this year we actually have more choices. So the pricing ranges from $97 to $147. We're in our early bird phase right now. So you can grab early bird pricing until the 6th of March. But one of the things that is special about this year is that we are going to offer some in-person options. So let me talk to you a little bit about what that means. So for us, in-person means you're going to be gathering with a group of other seasoned spouses in the DC area. So this year we are piloting this kind of hybrid approach, and we're going to have folks gathered in DC at there's a WeWork location, which is like an office building that has conference rooms, and you'll be able to connect with spouses there. If that doesn't work for you, then there's virtual for the entire event. Last year, we had enrollees from 7 countries. So I'm excited that we'll be global again this year, I'm sure. And so that virtual option is really important to me to make sure we can really support everyone who needs that support. But if you really want to connect in person, there's a chance to do that. So you'll gather, you'll watch the virtual event together. And then when we break into our small groups, you'll just turn to your neighbor and start talking about, what you heard and what it means for you. So you will have some choices around which tickets you choose based on the kind of experience you want. Day 2 is 100% virtual for everybody. So the in-person option is just going to be on that day 1. So if you take a look at, and I didn't put it up there, hang on a second. If you take a look at prideandgrit.com, you will shortly find, I'll open up the registration here in just a second, and you will find all the information for how to register and, details about the tickets and so forth. And certainly if you have any questions, throw those into the chat. I'm going to throw up a couple things here because I want to highlight Jen, who's here. Thank you. So Jen is actually part of our planning team. So good timing, Jen. So I wanted to take a quick minute just to thank these folks on the slide. So if you know any of these ladies, they were part of our event last year, and we're so excited about doing it again that they wanted to help plan it. So I've been leaning on them for topics and speakers and, logistics and just all the things to try to understand how to really serve you all best. So thank you, Jen. I'm obviously a huge Clifton Strengths fan as well. And wanted to also just thank Kelsey for her comments. It is a great opportunity for seasoned spouses. We know that sometimes seasoned spouses don't, there's a lot of stuff for new spouses, a lot of stuff for maybe deployments or, different seasons, if you will, in military life. But sometimes when you get towards the end of service, there's a lot that piles on. And so we want to make sure that we're really supporting those folks who've kind of been in this life a while and are starting to feel some of that cumulative impact. So anyway, if you know these 5 ladies, please give them a shout out, and certainly they have my thanks. And if you have questions, I'm sure you can go to them as well. And then my last thing is just, I want to take a quick minute to thank our sponsors. So we have 3 amazing sponsors for our event. USAA is our presenting sponsor this year. We're incredibly grateful for them. And we have a new sponsor this year in National University. They are sponsoring our Clifton Strengths workshop, which is such a perfect fit in terms of just really helping further your own kind of education in the sense of your personal development. And then lastly, I mentioned it a little bit, but AFMA is going to be our sponsor for our workbook. So this year, we're actually going to send you a workbook. You're going to have something you can refer to after the event and throughout the event. Our goal is to have questions you can be kind of jotting down answers to throughout the whole day. So we're really grateful to AFMA for making that possible. So those sponsors have made a difference, as well as that planning team, and gotten us where we are. So registration is open today. And if you have any questions, please feel free to add them here. I'll continue to check the feed. Otherwise, with that, we hope to see you in April. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.